Alright guys, today I wanted to talk about the Steam Deck a little bit. So you probably know by now because it's been already almost 2 days since Valve has unveiled that, and by now it's been all around the web. And so unless you were living under a rock or doing something else, I think you probably heard about it from now. So the Steam Deck is a portable console. I would say a portable PC. Most of it. It's a PC. You can pretty much do everything you want. It's open. You can use the OS that's coming with it, or you can actually remove it and put whatever thing you like on it. So they really made it so that it's customizable. Apparently, you can even install other game stores that are not Steam related on the device itself. So it's really much very much like an open PC, and that you can fully customize and fully reflash or whatever. So that is already, I think, a very important piece of information, because I would say in the area of portable or handheld gaming, this is almost unique in a way. There's very few devices out there that actually offer so much flexibility. There are, of course, like tablets, and you have also like Linux handhelds. Most of those are unfortunately ARM based, and even the one who support Linux typically support like a very old version of the kernel, and the drivers are typically proprietary, so you cannot update them to a mainline kernel version and so on. Here, this is a PC with actually AMD hardware. You can basically upgrade to the latest kernel versions, and it should present no major issue as long as it's supported. And it's 64-bit architecture. The AMD GPUs have an open source version, at least for most of it. It's the blob that's still proprietary, but most of the other interface to the kernel is I believe, completely open source at this stage. So should be great in terms of considering the sustainability of this device. Now it comes in 3 versions. Won't spend too much time on this, but what's very interesting for me is the lowest like tier, 64 gigabytes of RAM. Oh, sorry, of storage, not RAM. That seems very small, but it doesn't matter at all, because you can actually use a micro SD card to expand the storage, and actually a micro SD card is going to be much faster than most of our hard drives that we use on our PCs anyway, in terms of loading speed and stuff like that. So it actually makes no difference at all whether you use the lower tier or the higher tier. You will simply have slightly more, slightly faster SSDs in the middle and higher tier. But overall, it should be very, very fast in any case. And most of us think we use gaming PCs typically have large hard drive to have many games installed. So we typically don't use SSD, I think, for storing or several terabytes of games. So I don't think it's a major issue. And so the lowest price point is very interesting. I think it's less than $400, which is pretty much sweet point when you would like to be when you want to sell some kind of hardware mainstream. I think recently the Steam Pro is going around the same ballpark. So it becomes interesting, like if you compare the Switch versus this, for me there's no discussion, like this is the best device to buy. And not because I'm a fanboy and I love Valve. I do like what Valve is doing typically, but I use my brain as well. So there's some stuff where I think they're making some mistakes. I think like when Steam machines came out, I clearly mentioned that I think many things were not optimal, and that it was potentially set for a big failure long before they actually launched it. And unfortunately they failed, so it was really bad. But this being said, I think they're very consistent in what they do. They support open source, support free software. They support, everything they actually sponsor is made as free software as well. And they also sponsor a lot of the companies that are very active in such fields, like Codeweavers, Collabora, and also individual contributors who have been key people in this environment. So I think they're a force for good so far, overall. Of course, the Steam client is proprietary. You can always criticize them for many aspects. But even though they're, they use DRM, or you can use DRM as a, as a developer on Steam, you're not forced to do so. So you can actually also make your games DRM free. So they don't typically try to enforce too many restrictions. They allow you to, sell your games on other stores too. They don't do exclusives, apart from, I would say, the Valve games that typically are exclusives. So I would say typically I consider them as being very consistent and very respectable in what they do. And so in that device, for me, is a continuation in that sense. They're very much going the same trend of actions. They like to promote the openness, the fact that this is a device that you own, and then you can actually customize to the end. Or you can keep it as an appliance in a way and just use it for playing games, Steam games. And so compared to what I was saying, compared to a Steam, to Switch device, for me it's like this doesn't even make sense to compare anymore, because the Switch is so limited. You can only play proprietary games on it. You can only buy games in a single store, and you can just that's it. You can't even use it as a PC. This is actually a PC. So as they were showing it, seeing in the page there, you can actually dock it into an actual screen, and then it would become a PC. So this is a great aspect of that device as well. And they were showing off like people playing Crusaders 3, I think, which is very much a mouse-driven game on that device. In terms of performance, of course, it can be a little bit of a question mark, but the screen itself is close to 720p, and so therefore you don't need massive horsepower to to drive this kind of display. However, of course, the APU from AMD inside there is going to be fairly limited, both in, I would say, in power and so like how much you can deliver on this portable format with keeping the thermals I would say sustainable when you're playing. Also, question mark is going to be how long you can play with this with battery. They say 2 to 8 hours, probably closer to 2 hours for actual AAA games, I would say. But we'll see about that when something more tangible comes up in terms of reviews or testing. Yeah, I think Valve is doing a great move. There's a very big market, as I think the Switch has demonstrated, around portable gaming. And so far, the actors in portable gaming were very weak on openness and very boring with their proprietary systems and their restrictions and geocoding and whatever. So I'm really glad that Valve has found that there was an opportunity there, like that nobody was taking. There was money left on the table, and said, okay, all right, let's bring our device there. And they come with Proton, of course. So this is a device that runs Steam OS 3.0, which is not out yet. Is apparently based on Arch Linux, and will have a bunch of customization on it. So I think the kind of interface we see now on screen is probably the new SteamOS interface, maybe the new big picture mode, I would say, because the big picture mode hasn't evolved for a long time. It looks really old by now, so it's great that now we see there's this new kind of version that will be more modern, I would say, and I think more consistent with a console look. So it's great. Apart from that, I would say yeah, it runs on probably a customized version of Arch Linux. It probably makes a lot of sense to have a rolling release distro for this kind of device, because you want to be able to update the drivers to the latest open source versions of it. And typically it's through Mesa, and Mesa is highly depending on the both the kernel and the latest package available. So you probably want to have a device that's just running as close as possible to the edge. Proton is apparently going to be upgraded by the time this device comes out. So not sure exactly what that means. We'll probably have to investigate a bit more. There's apparently some anti-cheat technology supports in the works with directly, the developers of such technologies. So we might see some EAC games working whenever this device comes out, which is very interesting, because that would be one of the major roadblocks for having all games working on this device. And this page, it looks like Valve is basically saying all of your Windows game we've run. Like they don't even say like 95% or like 90% or whatever. The communication is like all of them will work, which seems very optimistic, knowing that right now with Proton it's not yet the case. There's still some games where you need some tweaks, where you need sometimes Proton GE and so on. So I would say we probably 50% there in terms of running stuff out of the box everywhere. Most of the time, very little modifications are needed, but some are needed. So I'm wondering if there's something big that we don't know about that's gonna suddenly make Proton work a lot better with Windows games in the near future, but basically by the end of this year. So we'll have to watch again that space for announcements. I think that's it for this time. I'm very enthusiastic. I think it's a lot better than the last time around where they were promoting Steam machines. Now they really have, I think, a winning proposition. That's going to be a mainstream device. I think there's a lot of Steam players out there. This device I will buy for sure. I'm not even questioning, like considering yes or no. It's like I'm pretty sure I will buy one. And I'm pretty sure I will use it too. It's not just going to be sitting around. I think it's a very powerful device on its own, even for non-gaming use. So I can see many different purposes for which this kind of device can be used. So again, this is not sponsored by Valve. I'm not working for them. I'm not paid by them. I just want to clarify this is my own opinion. I think they've been doing something great, and I really can't wait to have this in my hands at one point in time, and hopefully tell you more about what I think. Yep, that's mostly it. Let me know in the comments what you think as well, and I'll be happy to interact with all of you and see if you see something that they could further improve. One more thing I would like to add is that this device is just the first iteration. I'm pretty sure that if it's successful, they may have version 2, version 3 at some point in time, just like you have upgrades for phones and tablets and so on. So I can imagine that it's not a fixed device. It's never going to be evolving, just like the Switch has the Switch Pro coming and this kind of thing. So maybe something that you can renew every couple of years and keep your hardware up to date to the latest mobile technology available. So that's going to be maybe a new standard in a way in terms of mobile PC gaming. So it's going to be exciting, and also it'll be exciting to see if other manufacturers decide to enter the race for mobile gaming. Because as far as I know, everything inside this device is pretty much standards. It's a PC, so the hardware itself can be built by anyone. SteamOS is gonna be open source as far as I understand, and as long as you want to build one, there's no reason why you could not actually build your own, I would say, Steam gaming device that uses Proton and so on, and you don't have to pay any Windows license. So it could be that Valve is not just building this market for its own, but also for other manufacturers to enter and say, this is how you should do it. And this is just the kind of example device that we want to build. Why don't you give it a go at yourself and try to replicate our ideas? So it might be the birth of a new series of Steam machines, but in the portable space. And maybe this will also lead the path to the consoles, the actual Steam machines for the living room again, because there's no reason now that you have this version you can also make a kind of small device like that without screen that you connect to a living room projector or TV and do the same thing as a console, right? So this may be, I would say, a turn of the tide there, where finally the proper Steam machine concept come to life with a much better execution than last time around, and hopefully much better commercialization. I always was saying when the Steam machine, it was really a shame that Valve didn't enter the hardware manufacturing itself, because they are the ones to own this. Like, they should show what a good device should be like if they want to own this kind of project. And now finally they're doing it. So for me, it kind of resolves many of the issues they had with Steam machines. Now they're putting their money in the game. They're putting their opinion as to what the great device is going to be like, and still doing it in a very open fashion. So to hopefully stimulate the markets going forward. Maybe we'll see some non-Valve Steam machines coming. I mean, as this one Steam Deck version of it. All right, that's it for today. I'll talk to you later.